Greetings from the Red Bull Ring. We are prepared for this second race of the 2025 EUROCUP-3 season, the second race of the weekend, and a race that is going to have a little bit of a cooler temperature than we might have been expecting. The temperatures were, of course, cooler this morning with the rain that was having a little bit of an appearance between the qualifying and this second race. But luckily for us, luckily for all these drivers, luckily for all the teams, and luckily for the fans present at the Red Bull Ring, the rain is not here. We have been respected, and these guys behind me are prepared to give us a show. And we have one of the nice surprises of this second qualifying session in Q2. Jules Caranta has been perhaps the outsider that we were not necessarily expecting, and he has shown to be extremely quick in one lap pace. We will see if he is able to keep that performance in the race. And of course, he will have to contend with the drivers who were the big protagonists of yesterday. One of them, Mattia Colnaghi, the race one winner, but also the man starting from third position, Maciej Gladic, who of course we know as the Spanish winter champion in EUROCUP-3 class, and who of course was yesterday the protagonist of his own race by having to recover from the back of the grid after having been stripped of his qualifying one time due to track limits violation. Now we knew that he would fix things, that he would put things right, that he would be around the top of the grid in race 2, and he is there. So we have probably 3 big candidates for this race 2 win, each of them with their own stories, and of course, all of them rookies. We have a fantastic crop of new drivers who are entering the season. Yes, they have experience in the Spanish Winter Championship with these EUROCUP-3 machines, but this is the regular season. It's all going to start here. And of course, we are ready for a fantastic show. Yesterday, the race was perhaps a little bit more quiet than some would have liked. Of course, if we ask Mattia Colnaghi, he was pretty happy with how things went, and he said so to us yesterday as he was expressing his feelings. You know, he was saying, we as drivers have to enjoy what we have, and of course, winning a race is always enjoyable. But he is ready to try and get that double. He will not be able to have that full 100% of points, since he, of course, has not taken pole position. That belongs to Jules Caranta, but he will have the chance of leaving the first weekend of the season as the first championship leader. And of course, while I'm on the track, exposed to the elements, on the other side of the screen, I have my good friend, Jake Sanson. Jake, greetings from the pit lane. I hope that you're ready to enjoy the second race of the weekend.
Certainly am, and with Jules Caranta on pole position as well, it is definitely going to be a very different race day to what we had yesterday. Maciej Gladic right at the front of the field as well, third position rather than 25th on the grid, but Mattia Colnaghi still right up at the sharp end. At least for this second race of the weekend, we get a very different experience indeed. So can Colnaghi make it 2 out of 2 from P2 on the grid, or is that pole position for Jules Caranta, the Campos Racing driver, the Red Bull Junior youngster from Saint-Tropez in France, just going to be the tipping point in this incredible balance? Thanks for talking us through the early part of the race weekend, Alex Garcia. The build-up is over. Now we get ourselves into the thick of the action. And with Jules Caranta lining up alongside Mattia Colnaghi, it's going to be an all-Polish Road 2 with Maciej Gladic and Kasper Stuka lining up together. Then we have Ernesto Rivera, another of the Red Bull youngsters for Campos, lining up alongside Jesse Carrasquedo, the Mexican, right back where he belongs at the sharp end. Then Valerio Rinicella and Yannis Steven Haydens, with Emo Fittipaldi Jr. and Enzo Tarnvinichku. Garrett Berry and James Igozzi, the 2 Americans. Then Juan Cota and Alexander Amkasavga. And then we have Francisco Macedo and Andres Cardenas, Oscar Wirtz and Lenny Reed, from Isaac Barashi and Preston Lambert, Lorenzo Castillo and Luciano Morano. Zach Skula and Alcy Feldman, then Victor Dobzhansky, and Linus Hellberg in front of Emil Hellberg. And right at the back of the field, unfortunately for Alessandro Famolaro, the Venezuelan, who did not really get himself a particularly tough situation. So it'll be a really exciting situation for the contenders, but this particular race is definitely going to have a lot of different overtones to it, because this particular race battle is going to be very different. We've still got Mattia Colnaghi and Kasper Stuka at the front of the field, but now things have been mixed up a little bit, as we've got Jules Caranta in pole position, And we've got the young 17-year-old from Tarnów in Poland, Maciej Gladisz, right back at the front of the field, having just taken the EUROCUP-3 Winter Championship Series earlier on in the winter. Now, of course, he's going to have a lot of hard work to try and get himself from third on the grid to the lead. But he could get all of that done in the first few hundred meters. So Kuranta and Kolnagi, front row of the grid. An all Polish second row, as we mentioned, Maciej Gladisz of NV and Kasper Stuka of Gryffindor. And then Ernesto Rivera alongside Jesse Kadashkado. Rinnicella, Stephen Hayden, Fittipaldi, Tarbanishkil, Berry, Igotzi, Kota, and then Abkasawa from Macedo, Cardenas, Burtz, Reed, Arashi, and Lambert from Castillo, Morano, Skula, Feldman, Nito, Dobzhansky, Linus and Emil Hellberg, and then Alessandro Famularo lining up in the 28th position of the grid. 30 minutes plus the additional lap. If we have a similar situation to what we had yesterday, then we could get a false start, reducing the race distance, by 2 minutes. That's certainly what happened in race 1. Hopefully everybody will be able to get off the grid in race number 2. The weather, as you can see, is a lot brighter and a lot sunnier than it was yesterday as well. So plenty of exciting things to talk about going in. But for Jules Kuranta, it's a great chance for the Frenchman to kickstart his campaign after a reasonable run yesterday. Now he wants a race-winning run. The final man lining up, Alessandro Famularo. Once he's in position, the green flag will fly from the marshal on the home straight, and then we'll go racing. Green flag at the back, lights will come on when they go out for the second time this weekend. We'll be under starters' orders at the Red Bull Ring. Let's race at the Red Bull Ring a second time in EuroCup-3. Great start by Kolnagi. He's going to get alongside Kuranta into the first corner, and Kolnagi will beat into the turn. Look on the inside of Gladisz, and Gladisz holds him around the outside. Good run from Rivera as he gets off the line, but a perfect start from Maciej Kolnagi as he jumps Jules Kuranta, who's now going to give chase and go side by side with him down to the hairpin. They almost bang wheels, and Jules Kuranta determined to get Kolnagi back by going very tight on the outside of the hairpin, but he goes wide, and that's going to be Gladish's chance to get into second position. The Polish star will get a better run off the turn, and he's ahead! Incredible! Maciej Gladisz has got ahead of Kolnagi and Kuranta as they duel away. Here comes Rivera. He's got ahead of Stuka, and Gladisz is your leader, and it's side by side between Kuranta and Kolnagi. As they come off the turn, they actually made a little bit of contact, but somehow they've been able to get through. I'll tell you what, lap 1 is already better than the race 1, lap 1 yesterday, and Rivera dives in on Jules Kuranta as well, and the Mexican is through into third position. Great start from Rivera, terrible start from Jules Kuranta, but a perfect launch from Maciej Gladisz. He may not have got into turn 1 in first, but now he leads the way. Fantastic start to this race as Maciej Gladisz leads Stuka, trying to get himself back into position ahead of Rivera and Kuranta. But as they come off the turn, a couple of drivers running a bit deep there, but Gladisz is your leader from Kolnagi. Then it is Kuranta ahead of Rivera in fact. But Kuranta managed to get back past his teammate. Then Stuka, Rinnicella, Stephen Hayden and Kadashkado from Berry, Tarbanishkil, Kota and Igotzi. Still a good start to proceedings then as the drivers work their way through on the far side. But it's side by side at the moment in the run up to the hairpin behind the GRS. That is Berry versus Kadashkado. Kadashkado trying to finish the move on the inside line, and Garrett Berry trying to go right round the outside of it. But an absolutely terrific start to proceedings as Maciej Gladisz leads the way from Maciej Kolnagi, then Kuranta, Rivera, Stuka and Rinnicella. 4 rookies in the top 4 places. What a start as we have got ourselves into a fantastic scenario up front. So Maciej Gladisz taking full advantage of the situation. That couldn't really have gone any better from him from third position as he launched ahead of Kolnagi and Kuranta, who were so busy racing each other that they ended up essentially taking each other wide. Rivera was able to get the move on Kuranta, and then Kuranta got him back again in the next corner. So for those who are watching on the graphics who want to know the difference between the numbers in red and the numbers in black, well, the red numbers are rookies, the black numbers are drivers who have a season's experience in EuroCup-3 behind them. So it shows you just how impressive the rookies are in 2025. Gladisz, Kolnagi, Kuranta and Rivera from Stuka and Rinnicella, the 2 men with experience in this category. then Stephen Haydens, Berry, Kadashkado, and Enzo Tarbanichkul. From Juan Cota, James Igozzi, Francisco Macedo, Emma Fittipaldi Jr., Alex Cassava, and then Lenny Reed. From Andres Cardenas, Preston Lambert, and Luciano Morano. But after Kasper Stuka came close to giving Poland the victory yesterday in front of Matej Kolnagi, Maciej Gladic has got himself into the lead. And if I know him, he's not going to concede any points from this race whatsoever. Maciej Gladic did such a great job in the Winter Cup to take the title. But now he wants to get his main body of the championship started in earnest. Should have been top 5 in the original qualifying session had he not had his best laps times deleted for track limits. He certainly sorted that out in today's session to go P3. But now he's pushing out in the lead in front of Kolnagi, Caranta, Rivera, Stuka and Rinicella from Stephen Haydens, Berry, Kadashkado and Tarbanichkul. So through the S's on the far side of the course, looking like a very tidy race lap at the moment. But it's all exactly as scripted for Maciej Gladic. Get into the lead early, push away, try and disappear out in front of the rest of the field. That is exactly what he's been hoping for. And it's certainly going all guns blazing for him at the moment as they head down the straight and up to Niki Lauda curve. First corner, named after the great 3-time world champion in Formula 1. And then charging down the straight up to the Rimas hairpin for what is going to be turn number 2. But Maciej Gladic is stretching away from Kolnagi, 0.8 of a second. There's Garrett Berry still having a great duel, this time having got ahead of the GRS of Yannis Stephen Haydens. So he's worked his way further forward now into the Rimas hairpin, tight right, then along the straight, and up they go along the crest, and then they will drop down it up towards Schlossgold. Caranta and Rivera still going well in 3rd and 4th. Stuka and Rinicella, then Berry, Stephen Haydens, Kadashkado and Tarbanichkul, and up to the inside. There could be a bold lunge on the inside line here as Emmo Fittipaldi Jr. tries to slice up the inside of Francisco Macedo, but he can't get ahead of the Portuguese, so he just has to wait and bide his time. Side by side further round, this is a very tight moment as Enzo Tarbanichkul is going wheel to wheel with Jesse Kadashkado, and the tie is going to make mincemeat of it on the inside line as they go wheel to wheel through Verth. And they're still side by side. Tarbanichkul's going to have the momentum, and he should just be able to pull across and keep the position. So the young Thai has been able to put on a fantastic bit of speed there, and he's got the place. Well done to Enzo Tarbanichkul. The boy born in Marbella in Spain, but he races under Thai license because that's where his family emanates from. But an excellent performance so far from Enzo Tarbanichkul. So now that puts the Thai into 9th position. His next target is the GRS, the Green Bullet. Yannis Stephen Haydens is the man behind the wheel. Down to the braking zone for Rimas once again. And then you try and get a decent run off the turn after what is a very tight radius indeed. Trying not to take too much curb on the way off the corner. But Berry and Stephen Haydens are very much on Enzo Tarbanichkul's radar now. Incident between 12 and 3 in turn 1 will be investigated after the race. Now 12 and 3 are Lenny Reed, and the 12 is going to be, well, the 12 is Alexander Abkasava, but they're not together on the racetrack anymore. So clearly something has occurred between the two of them, and it's caused a bit of a headache. And on the inside, oh, that's lovely. A brilliant move there from James Igozzi to get on the inside of Juan Cota up into 11th place. We got a car stopped. That's one of the Drivex cars, I do believe. That is Alessandro Famularo, but he's actually on the racetrack itself. Unless he can fire it up and move it off the racing line, we could get a safety car here. As round the outside, that's brave from Macedo. Macedo's going to go wheel to wheel with Juan Cota, and he's held it. Goodness me, Francisco Macedo in the Griffith core, round the outside of Juan Cota. That is an almost impossible move to conceive, and yet he's managed to make it stick. Great work from Francisco Macedo on Juan Cota. So we've got a car stationary, Alessandro Famularo. If he's not moving, then that means we are going to have a very tricky return to the circuit now. Let's see if Famularo has continued. Yes, he has. He has got moving again. So it was clearly a spin, and then he's got moving. So we are not going to need the safety car after all. Thank goodness for that. So Maciej Gladic leads Kolnagi. You can look to the right of your screen. That's where Familara's car was, but he has got moving, so there's no need for a safety car on this occasion. Gladish, a second clear now of Mattia Kolnagi. Then Caranta, Rivera, Stuka, Rinicella, Berry and Steven Haydens. So a very good return at the moment. And it's going to be a really solid race battle at the moment for these two up front. It's amazing for Kolnagi, but the roles are reversed from yesterday. A first and a second now looking likely to be what he'll come back with. But I think he would have liked a little bit more. I think he would have wanted 2 wins out of 2. Certainly starting ahead of Gladish would have made that look straightforward. But the pole is such a strong contender. So never underestimate him. He's got fantastic speed and great pace at the early stages of proceedings here. So Maciej Gladish looking so impressive at the moment. Meanwhile, there are the Red Bulls. Gil Caranta and Ernesto Rivera on the Red Bull ring as they head up to the Rimas hairpin once again. And it's the Frenchman ahead of the Mexican at the moment. Ernesto Rivera just trying to stay with Gil Caranta at the moment. Caranta has had a bit of an interesting start to his tenure as a Red Bull Junior, but hopefully he's going to continue making progress as he goes. Meanwhile, Alessandro Famolaro's incident at turn 4 is going to be investigated after the session. They go through Schlossgold at turn 3, then up to turn 4, and then in through the left-hand at turn 5. That's Rauch. And then on the short stretch up to Verth Not many corners on this circuit, but plenty of straights. It's almost a mini Hockenheim in the olden days. So 6 and 7, Verth into the right flick. And then they will make their way down to Rindt, named after the only posthumous world champion in Formula 1 history, the great Jochen Rindt. In through the right-hander, and then dropping down to Red Bull Mobile, the final turn on the course. This is where an awful lot of the track limits errors have occurred. But so far, Maciej Gladish has an 0.8 of a second advantage over Mattia Kolnagi. And then in they go again to Niki Lauda curve. So still a good battle in prospect here, but not for the victory. It looks like it could be for third between Caranta, Rivera, Stuka and Rinicella, as Tarvin, by the way, has not only got ahead of Yannis Steven Haydens, but he's also managed to get past Garrett Berry. So Tarvin is now in P7. Look at the background. You just saw a flicker of the Red Bull colour scheme in the background. Look over the top of the crest. There's Tarvin. So he's got ahead of Berry and Steven Haydens, who's now lost ground to Carrasquedo. So what a drive from Enzo Tarvin so far. The young Thai is doing a terrific job. So he basically lives partly in Spain, partly in Italy these days, Enzo Tarvin, but then he's always grown up in those European countries, but he's still got a massive heritage back home in Thailand. He's actually opened a clothing line there, would you believe, for the fantastic young competitors working their way up the ranks in Thai sport. So through Verth curve and up to Rindt once again. Tarvin actually dropping Garrett Berry in the bid to continue accelerating further away. He looks so vapid through this part of the course. And then through the final turn at Red Bull Mobile, onto the home straight once again. This is where the tyres are going to start slipping away from drivers. 12 minutes gone, 18 minutes remaining. As Enzo Tarvin tries to get closer to the top 6. He's certainly going quicker than anybody else out there other than Valerio Rinicella at the moment. In fact, Valerio Rinicella is the fastest driver of the experienced brigade. The fastest lap of the race has now come from Mattia Kolnagi, but he's the only driver quicker than Tarvin. Tarvin is actually going quicker than Gladish in the lead of the race at the moment. So Enzo Tarvin definitely making good headway to the top 6 cars up front. But Mattia Kolnagi is the fastest man of all. So this is when he can start to push on to Maciej Gladish in the lead. Now we saw yesterday that Kasper Stuka just ran out of time to go after Mattia Kolnagi, but can Kolnagi take on Gladish this time? He's got 17.5 minutes to make something of this. So this could be a very tall order for the Italian-Argentine, as the kart racing circuit next door seems to have almost as many karts on the circuit as we have cars here. And of course, all of the drivers from this championship started out their days in their various club, regional and international karting disciplines. Now they're here in EUROCUP-3, hoping to seek their fortune. The next step on the ladder, of course, is the Grand Prix weekend. So they really want to make good use of the opportunities here. To the first corner. Little dash of curb, but Kolnagi looks a little bit faster through that section. As they go out of Niki Lauda curve, he'll try and pick up slipstream as he closes up on Gladish. Meanwhile, Rivera is close to Caranta, but not really close enough, as Rinicella is trying to pick up slipstream here from Kasper Stuka. He's gaining. Can he throw it up the inside line and make a bid into the hairpin? Not when Kasper Stuka's defending, he can't. And Rinicella's going to lose ground. Now this is good news for Enzo Tarbanichkul, who is there in the background. He's dropped Berry and Kadashkedo, so Tarbanichkul could catch up to these four the way he's currently going. A 1:26.293 is the quickest that we've seen from Tarbanichkul, only about 0.06 of a second slower than Kolnagi's best lap time, which of course is the fastest lap of the race at the moment. So 14 minutes gone, 16 minutes remaining. And the Red Bull Juniors are at stalemate here. Gil Caranta and Ernesto Rivera in front of Stuka, Rinicella, Tarbanichkul, Berry, Kadashkedo and Stephen Haydens. But all 28 cars that started are still circulating. Up over the crest into Rins. Right-hander. Rivera chasing after Caranta through Red Bull Mobile. And the two Red Bull Juniors here at the Red Bull Ring in their Campos cars, gunning to join the elite of motorsport in years to come, and certainly in one of the toughest training camps of them all. But they find themselves in third and fourth. A little bit of rotation there from Ernesto Rivera at the tail end of the car, but he managed to collect it with the slightest little four-wheel drift to correct it. That won't have cost him too much in tyre deg. Down to the braking zone. Caranta, Rivera, Stuka, Rinicella, and in the background, Enzo Tarbanichkul closing in on them. Now, Maciej Gladish has actually pulled well clear of Matti Kolnagi. What's happened to Kolnagi on the last lap? He's losing about 0.2 of a second per sector at the moment. Something is going wrong for Kolnagi. He's just dropping way back from Gladish. He was about 0.7 of a second away from him, and now he's almost 3 seconds back. Something's not right for Kolnagi. He's losing massive pace as Caranta has to correct a drift wide in Rauch. So Gladish is pulling clear here. Matti Kolnagi looks like he's got an issue of some kind. Certainly he's dramatically lost time. 38.1 for sector 2 for Gladish, 38.5 for Kolnagi. So either Maciej Gladish is suddenly finding pace from nowhere, or Matti Kolnagi's got an issue, and it looks to be the latter. Meanwhile, Rinicella has got Stuka really nailed up here. So Stuka may have some problems dealing with Rinicella into turn 1, and they're both closing on the Campos in front of them. So Ernesto Rivera, Kasper Stuka and Valerio Rinicella are going to dice wheel to wheel down to the Remus hairpin. Gladish has now pulled 3 seconds on Kolnagi. Rinicella dueling with Stuka. They might both get close enough to Rivera to challenge, but this is going to need to be a brave move if Rinicella is going to get ahead. They're really working the tyres. Rinicella's got a better exit off the turn, though. He's going to go side by side with Kasper Stuka and watch for Enzo Tarbanichkul, who's really close to them now. So here goes Rinicella. He's going to try and squeeze Stuka to the braking zone. Stuka on the curb, that'll do. Rinicella's through. Stuka tries to retaliate by going slow in, fast out, but all that's done is put Enzo Tarbanichkul on his rear wing. Well, Maciej Gladish really has taken the bull by the horns here at the Red Bull Ring, and he's pulled clear of Matti Kolnagi. He's doing so to the tune of 0.2 of a second per sector. Maciej Gladish is disappearing into the distance. It was even for the first half of the race, but it looks as though the pole is looking after his tyres far better. There's Caranta. Rivera now falling into the clutches of Rinicella. Then Stuka and Tarbanichkul, but for how much longer? Because Tarbanichkul has got a very fast car underneath him. And now he wants to push on the back of the pole. Kasper Stuka, second in race 1. Race 2 is a much tougher ask for the pole. Through turn 1. And now Enzo Tarbanichkul charging down towards the Remus hairpin. Rinicella's got slipstream on Rivera. Tarbanichkul looks like he's got slipstream on Stuka, but he's not going to be close enough into Remus hairpin unless he pulls off an absolute or the audacious move, which he's going to. Oh, pulls off the impossible move. Just as further back, we get a spin, I'm afraid, from Linus Hellberg. But Enzo Tarvalichgil pulls off an impossible overtake on Kasper Stuka and makes it look formidable. P6, he gets ahead of Stuka. And so both Kolnagi and Kasper Stuka are really struggling today for raw pace compared to where they were yesterday. And now even Caranta is struggling for pace. 22.8 in Sector 1, 38.5 in Sector 2. And both Kolnagi and Caranta are 0.3 of a second per sector slower than Maciej Gladish. Gladish is just pulling clear. Now apparently there is debris on track at the pit entry. We're about to see where that is. So if anybody comes into the pits, they've got to be careful because there is some debris on the circuit of the pit entry. As Maciej Gladish is now 3.8 seconds clear of Matej Kolnagi. He wants to put this race to bed. We watch Rivera versus Rinicella. Rinicella looks like he's got a really good run now off the turn. Closing up on Rivera, he's close. He's going to need an audacious overtake if he's going to get him into Remus, but he might be able to set him up for Schlossgold. Good slipstream. Rivera is covering his bases there by keeping the car in the middle of the road. Not a lot Rinicella can do. Now he's going to need a good run off the turn and down to Schlossgold. They will both go together. Rivera and Rinicella side by side. Rinicella goes left. Down to the braking zone. Good work from Rivera to cover off the move. He's now going to tighten the radius to stop Rinicella zipping up the inside line for the next apex. Keep it to the middle of the road, but only so much that you can cover your bases. Oh, beautiful from Rivera. Lovely job from the Mexican. And Valerio Rinicella does not really have a lot of response here. He's clearly quicker, but it's all about how you look after the tyres, where you position the car. This is great work from Ernesto Rivera. Really smart driving. So at the end of this race, if Matej Kolnagi remains in P2, he will still take the lead of the championship. Because although Maciej Gladish has won this race, if he keeps it where he is, then yesterday, of course, he had no points after going from 25th on the grid to 11th. But Maciej Gladish holding on in front of Matej Kolnagi. But this is the battle further back as we've got Caranta, Rivera, Rinicella and Tarvanichgil. And these three are dueling for 4th place now. Rinicella will have another run on Ernesto Rivera. My money here, though, is on Enzo Tarvanichgil. He seems to have a quicker car than the two men up front. And if he looks after tyres in the closing stages, and we've only got 9 minutes left plus the additional lap, Tarvanichgil may have the stronger car. There's Garrett Berry trying to stick with Kasper Stuka. He doesn't really have the raw pace to do it at the moment. Kadashkado is 9th and Steven Aidens is 10th. So Rinicella really needs to build up again to this move on on Ernesto Rivera, sorry. So Rinicella hunting down Rivera. Maciej Gladish is 4.3 seconds now clear of Matej Kolnagi at the last split. He's still going about 0.2 of a second quicker than anybody else on the circuit right now. The only driver that can really hold a candle to him on sector times is actually not in the top 6, and that is Kasper Stuka. Rinicella and Garrett Berry also get 22.7s, but Maciej Gladish has a 22.6 in the first sector. In the second sector, Gladish is flying at 38.2. Only Kadashkado can get near that on a 38.3. And so Matej Kolnagi is losing anywhere between 1/10 of a second to 2/10 of a second per sector at the moment to Maciej Gladish. That is a very aggressive stance for the race leader to be taking at this stage of the race. Right, Rinicella has got Rivera on the ropes again. But there's still that critical 2 to 3 car lengths between them by the time he starts the run to Remus. He needs late braking and a perfect run off the turn before he can have another crack at Rivera down to Schlossgold. And as a result, he can't get through, and so Stuka is closing in on Tarvanichgil. Tarvanichgil is closing in on both of them. And there is Gil Caranta, just having a no-man's land style race. 3 seconds back from Kolnagi, who is 4.5 back from the leader, Maciej Gladish. This is a much more convincing race battle from Maciej Gladish, even than we saw from Kolnagi yesterday over Kasper Stuka. So he will be the championship leader, so excellent work from the 16-year-old, but the pace that Gladish has shown here, imagine just how strong he could be at the Algarve. on the Portimao circuit, just outside the city of Faro in Portugal. So still, Rivera, Rinicella and Tarvinichkul for P4. Off the final turn, and Rinicella really is running the gauntlet for track limits. He's got to be really careful. And there is an incident being investigated after the race between Preston Lambert and Luciano Morano, forcing a driver off the track. We don't know which did what to who, but that will be investigated as Maciej Gladisz is cantering away up front in the MP car. Doesn't look like an MP car thanks to his Polish sponsorship deal, but he's pulling well clear of his Mattia Kolnagi sister car, which is in the traditional MP Motorsport colours. But Maciej Gladisz only has 6 minutes plus the additional lap, and look at how quickly he's been able to stretch out that gap between himself and Mattia Kolnagi. It's the difference between night and day. Gil Caranta third, and now Rivera and Rinicella. Valerio Rinicella really is getting impatient here, sat behind the Mexican. So Ernesto Rivera is trying to work himself into a podium position, but he's not close enough to his teammate Gil Caranta, as Rinicella is trying to join his teammates on the podium. But it really isn't going his way at the moment. Mattia Kolnagi still has the fastest lap of the race at 1:26.239, but that was in the early phase of the race. Now the tyres are starting to drop in this scintillating 29 degrees Celsius heat. So the battle really is raging at the moment. 29 degrees Celsius, of course, is the track temperature. So a fascinating situation at the moment for the contenders. Rivera still hunted down by Rinicella. Off comes the gloves in this particular battle. Rinicella a lot closer out of Niki Lauda curve. This is where he can really go for it. And now Rivera really knows he's going to be on it. Side by side, brake late, but give each other space. You don't want to have a Verstappen-Norris style incident. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? In EuroCup-3, a Red Bull clashes with an orange car at the Rimas hairpin, battling for position. So now they're side by side again. Rinicella trying to get on terms with Rivera. Now Rinicella could be a bit aggrieved by that. He may feel that Rivera has moved twice there in the bid to stay in front. Now Rivera can argue that was one fluid movement, but Rinicella and the MP team will be keeping their eye on this. They drop down out of Rauch, up to Verth Curve. So this is a fabulous battle between these two. Valerio Rinicella really is doing everything he can to get on terms with Rivera. There is Gil Caranta. Then Rivera and Rinicella. Tarvinichkul P6. He really has found to get on terms with these two. As meanwhile, Kasper Stuka is struggling in the second race in a very different way to how he was coping with the pressure yesterday. Just shows you how big a difference 24 hours really makes. Oh, big slip there from Rinicella. He had a good run nailed up on Rivera, and the back end started to drift. He was able to catch it, but now he won't have a good run on Rivera up to Rimas. He'll have to set him up for Schlossgold once again. Swarming around behind him, trying to let Rivera know he's coming. He had to force his hand there, hoping that Rivera will make the mistake, but Ernesto Rivera is no buffoon. He wasn't born yesterday. He's swarming around, trying to break the toe of Valerio Rinicella, who's not actually close enough to make the bid into Schlossgold. So down to the braking zone again, through the right-hander, keep the radius nailed on the far side. Ride the curbs if you have to, and then back on the push as well. So down through Rauch. Tarvinichkul trying to get closer to Rinicella. Rinicella still trying to stay as close to Rivera as he possibly can. Through the left. A good run still out of Verth Curve. Then they will drop out of this high crest down towards Rindt. Here they go over the top of the peak and then down through Rindt. They will drop again up to the Red Bull Mobile corner, the final turn on the course. And you're going to start to see signs of frustration now from the man in 5th position, Rinicella. Can't quite get the moves here on Ernesto Rivera. 3 laps to go, and there's Maciej Gladisz. 5 seconds now to the good on Mattia Kolnagi. As Gladisz continues pushing the limits, he's just loving being out in front of the field. in a EUROCUP-3 car. Transitioned well from Spanish F4 last year. This kind of car seems to suit him even better than the F4 did. And he was a great racer in that last season, a race winner and a championship contender down to the end of the season. But Maciej Gladiš really has come out of the blocks in EUROCUP-3 at the start of this season and got used to this car very quickly indeed. And we tend to find that drivers who do well in Formula Regional style EUROCUP-3 cars do very well in later trajectories up the ladder. So Gladiš, 5 seconds clear of Colnaghi, who is 4 seconds clear pretty much on Gil Caranta. He's got a 2-second advantage on Rivera, Rinichella and Tarvanitschkel, who are tenths of a second apart. Rinichella's done a lot of work here to get back on terms with the Mexican up front, Ernesto Rivera. Still the duel for 4th position could go down to the wire here, as Maciej Gladiš will go across the line to start the penultimate lap. So he goes through, leading the race. And on lap 22, out of what is going to be 23 laps, whatever happens, Maciej Gladiš has got this lead absolutely in control. He just needs a little bit of calm persuasion from the drivers around him to make a mistake, and it can all change. But Maciej Gladiš is not going to let those drivers get in his headspace. Down towards the Rimas hairpin. Colnaghi second, Caranta third. Rivera still under pressure from Rinichella, who had a big dive. Think about that, didn't he? Had to bail out of it, but that might be enough to put Rivera off on the run to Schlossgold, and I think it might have done. So now it's up to Rinichella to really force the issue here on Ernesto Rivera. He's got to think about this last lap and a half. He doesn't want to go too far off the line. Perfect from Rivera. Now he's got to drift across the radius. Shut down Rinichella again. Lovely. That's exactly what you need to do. Now he's got to keep the car slightly over the racing line, but up the inside goes Rinichella. He's done it. Brilliant from Rinichella. No resistance, no second chances. Boom. Thank you and good night. And he's up on the inside line into 4th place, leaving the crestfallen Ernesto Rivera into the clutches of his teammate. Here comes Tarvanitschkel now, and he's already alongside. Up towards Rin Curve. Can he go around the outside? No way. Oh my word, Tarvanitschkel. Unthinkable to go round the outside at Rins. Now he's going to drift away, and his teammate's going to go side by side with him as they go down the straight. Gladiš is on the last lap, and the teammates, this is for supremacy. Tarvanitschkel to the inside, and he's kept it, but he's going to drift off the run. So Rivera will come back at him. Tarvanitschkel will now get the run to Rimas. Watch for Stuka. Watch for Stuka in the background, boys. He could get you both before you've even realised it. Here comes Stuka. He's going to take them both on. Oh, beautiful from Stuka. He nails them both. Just when we thought he was out of it. Kasper Stuka lights it up and gets it in a 5th position past both the Campos boys. Never, ever count out Kasper Stuka. Now Tarvanitschkel fancies his chances. Here around the outside comes his teammate. Oh, lovely from Rivera. What a battle to finish off the weekend. Right down to the wire. But Maciej Gladiš has romped away. Fantastic run from the pole. Kasper Stuka was not quite able to give Poland a victory this weekend. But this man, Maciej Gladiš, 17 years old, from Tarnów, has done it. Maciej Gladiš goes from 3rd to 1st. Victory for Gladiš. Stunning. Absolutely brilliant. Colnaghi 2nd, Caranta 3rd, and look back, we'll see Rinichella and a swarm of opposition. Who's going to get to the line first? It's Kasper Stuka. Magic final lap from Stuka. Kasper Stuka, just call him Dive Bomber. Wonderful. And I think both Tarvanitschkel and Ernesto Rivera are going to be pretty sick to their stomach watching that one. Back again. But as Skyline R34 points out, it's winner, winner, Jurek dinner. Fantastic for Maciej Gladiš. What a fantastic run for the pole. This race just came alive in the latter stages, but excellent performance from Maciej Gladiš, the pole. There he is, cruising in. This will be such a tonic after yesterday. It didn't go well for him at all. 25th on the grid, he made the most of it. Charged his way up to 11th position. But the win must be so satisfying. Matti Kolnagi fans need not despair though. A win yesterday, a second today, and he will be the championship leader heading to Portimao. But an absolutely terrific run from the 17-year-old rookie, Maciej Gladiš, doing a great job. Look over at some of the best bits of this race. Look how close it was at the start. Look at Gladiš as he goes through turn one. Almost caught out there by Stuka on the inside line as Kolnagi got ahead of Caranta. But what a fantastic charge through from Maciej Gladiš. Just picked his moments, nailed his opposition at exactly the right moment on that first lap. Took his moment. Absolutely wonderful. Just such a great race. That's what happened to Alessandro Fumalado earlier on. He manages to stay away from everybody. But what a sensational race and fantastic move, the move of the race from Kasper Stuka to get two men into one move on the final lap. And on your inset, Maciej Gladiš is getting out of the car. That's the incident we didn't quite see earlier on that unfortunately dropped our man at the tail of the field, Linus Hellberg, out of contention. But climbing the car, oh, he doesn't even need to do that. Maciej Gladiš does things in his own way. Celebrations with the MP crew. Where is his father? Adam Gladiš, I'm sure he's down there. And the MP team, ecstatic. 2 wins out of 2 for the team, albeit not in MP colours maybe. It's in his Polish national race team colours. But what a fantastic display. Maciej Gladiš, jubilant, euphoric, dominant. Yesterday's win by Matti Kolnagi was good. I think it's fair to say Maciej Gladiš's was far more dominant. Welcome to the winner's circle in EUROCUP-3, Maciej Gladiš. It only took you 48 hours. Nearly falls off the scale. That's the only mistake Maciej Gladiš has made all race. Absolutely phenomenal. Good effort there from Matti Kolnagi though. Second position, championship leader heading to Portimao in 2 weeks' time. He can be very happy with the way this weekend has gone, all in all. And he certainly has the upper hand in the championship. Look at that from the teammates. Maciej Gladiš and Matti Kolnagi shake on a good race fight. And third position, very smooth indeed from the Frenchman Jules Caranta. This is like their karting days all over again. It wasn't more than about 3 years ago when Maciej Gladiš, Matti Kolnagi and Jules Caranta were trading front fairing whiskers in the karting world. Now here they are in EUROCUP-3 as podium sitters. And Maciej Gladiš, fabulous victory for him. He's a very flamboyant, very excitable individual, is Maciej Gladiš. Let's see what he has to say with Alex Garcia.
Oh, Maciej, where to start? There's so many things that we could talk about. But come on, let's start about lap 1. How was that at the top of the hill?
Yeah, I mean, they had a bit of a hack in T2. They pushed each other wide, so I managed to overtake them both on the exit. And yeah, after I managed the race quite well. At one point, Mattia was catching me, but then he made a mistake. Like exit of T7, I was like, oh, he might overtake me on the next straight or something. But then when I was exiting last corner, I actually pulled away. And then after, I managed the race quite well. A bit disappointed that I didn't use the push to pass more in the first laps, because I think we would have done as well fastest lap. But yeah, I mean, first win of the season. Thank you so much. After yesterday's disappointing day, nice way to bounce back. So thank you so much to the team. And yeah, see you in Portimao.
I think it's fair to say that yesterday was, of course, a very disappointing day, but you knew that you had the pace, because what you did yesterday was, frankly, quite amazing also.
Yeah, I mean, we used tires from the qualifying, so we had quite old tires, and I managed really well. Racecraft was fantastic, so I mean, it paid off for today's race. And yeah, I'm really happy about this weekend anyway. Nice way to finish it. Especially that so many fans came to watch here from Poland and support me, so it's really nice.
You said see you in Portimao. Goal in Portimao is to start a fight, challenge for the title?
Yeah, I mean, Portimao will be a really nice track to race, of course, on. I mean, in Winter Series, we finished on the podium almost 2 times. Unfortunately, the last race I had DNF because of the mechanical issue, but I think we'll be strong. Yeah, we might have a chance as well to win it.
All right, Maciek, thank you very much and enjoy the win.
Thank you. See you.
Maciek Gladiš, the man of the moment for sure. You can hear the cheering from all the people at MP Motorsport, and he definitely deserves it because this was one hell of a win coming from that disappointment Saturday from him.
Yeah, Maciek was always a great karting racer, so for him to step up and be so strong in the F4 Spanish Championship last season and then to be here in EUROCUP-3, it really shows you just how physical his exertion is now really accelerating. He's a fantastic racecrafter, is Maciek Gladiš, a great competitor. Let's talk about this duel, though, that's ever ongoing in these categories, Alex, between MP and Campos. First blood in this first weekend to MP. They've taken a couple of victories, while the Campos guys are left scratching their head, wondering what kind of pace they can find in Portugal.
Yes, this is quite, I would say, surprising because we know that for many, many years, Campos and MP have had a huge rivalry in EUROCUP-3, and we know that they tend to be very competitive no matter what circuit they go on. So it is surprising to see Campos struggling so much. I'm convinced that they will be competitive anyway in Portimao. But of course, this is one first strike that the MP guys are giving or are claiming over Campos, and if Campos wants to fight back, they need to do it right away, because any single round that you're not competitive, those are very important points that you're missing on. So let's see. The theory that normally any tendencies on a championship, you tend to find them out within 3 rounds. So I think we still have a couple of race weekends where we can see things start to settle properly.
Well, our streaming signal didn't like you going up the stairs, but you've certainly got the best backwards cameraman in human history going up the stairs like that. What a fantastic pair of races, though, Alex. And now we go to Portimao, a very physical circuit. Here at Red Bull Ring, there is elevation change and there is off-camber. But at Portimao, it's known as the roller coaster. This circuit is going to give so many more challenges to the drivers. Those who may have had a bit of a struggle this time round, perhaps Portimao could actually favour them.
Yes, exactly. It's a very, very different circuit. So at the end of the day, I don't think that any of the teams that haven't been maybe performing as strongly are too worried. They have a chance to bounce back in just a few weeks. So definitely, you know, there could be a chance for them. And I think that's the best thing of EuroCup-3, which is we know that every race weekend is pretty much a new story, and we have seen sometimes some drivers who were able to come back from a disappointing weekend easily, and others, on the other hand, that they thought they had it all, and they didn't have things as clear or as easy as they thought. So a good lesson to remember, both for drivers who are not up top and for those who have performed strongly this weekend.
So we're going to have the drivers celebrating on the podium after what has been a sensational challenge. It's going to be a really exciting title fight now, and these two men could be two of the good fighters. Don't forget that Kasper Stuker's still going to have a good score after his second place yesterday. Maciek Gladiš's challenge has really kicked on a pace, and Gilles Caranta, there's good opportunity for the young Frenchman from Saint-Tropez. He's got a real opportunity now, and certainly already looking like a hard challenger in the Red Bull Campos camp. But also one man I want to throw into the ring there as well, Alex. What about Enzo Tarnbanichkul? Did a fantastic job today putting his teammates under pressure.
That was amazing. Probably, I would say, the hardest racing we've seen, maybe even throughout the whole weekend. Some of the moves were absolutely outstanding. And yes, maybe those first laps have been a bit of a problem for him, or maybe, you know, a highest qualifying position would have helped. But when you can race as hard as this on an actual race day, I'm not going to say you don't need to qualify as highly, but it definitely helps in recovering. So he will have made better place to make an impression as a Red Bull driver than at the Red Bull Ring?
It certainly bodes well, doesn't it? Especially when you've got so many opportunities opening up. We've heard recently, of course, that Red Bull is likely to have a connection with the Ford Motorsport program in the World Endurance Championship in years to come. So that certainly opens a few more doors for a lot of these youngsters to come through. Certainly Caranta, Tarvanichkul and Esther Rivera, certainly names to consider for that in the future if Formula One is not an open door. But we're starting now to really see some of these talent really work their way further forward. We knew that Matti Kolnagi and Maciej Gladiš were going to be strong in EuroCup-3. Are we surprised that they're this quick, this early in the championship?
I would say maybe not super surprising because we saw what they could do in the Spanish Winter Championship. But we all know that the regular season is a whole different beast, and you know, it would have been easy to just be quick on the Spanish Winter Championship, but then when the actual season came, maybe struggle a little bit more, be a couple positions behind. But no, they've actually just, you know, picked up just as they left off in Motorland a few months ago, and I don't think anyone's too surprised. But I think we should be, because they are rookies who come direct from Formula 4, and in Gladiš's case, for example, he came as a rookie last year, which shows that the current rookies from Formula 4 are really, really, really strong. And I think that is a very, very good thing for the championship, because having a strong field of rookies proves that these guys may be very important in the future. And as you said, a program from Ford in the future might be a way to look out things for the Red Bull drivers. In this case, for example, Jules Caranta, who is another of the guys who did a very good job this weekend with pole position in this first podium of the season.
Well, thank you, Alex Garcia, the man on the top step of the podium. Maciej Gladiš for MP Motorsport. And it, of course, means the Polish national anthem. It's been 17 years since that national anthem was heard in a Formula One weekend for the Grand Prix winner, Robert Kubica, in the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix. There is a whole waft of Polish talent coming through, led in the charge by not only Maciej Gladiš, but also Kasper Stuka. But what a fantastic race weekend to finish off with two brilliant races. Jules Caranta, the young man from Saint-Tropez, picking up a great third position run. And of course, he gets two trophies because he gets the overall third position, but he also gets the rookie third position. As of course, do all three of the drivers, they all get two trophies because they get a rookie podium and an overall podium at the same time. Excellent work from Matti Kolnagi. He leads the championship, going to Portimao. But Maciej Gladiš, rookie winner, overall winner. Double trouble on the podium for both the top men on the podium, as Matti Kolnagi and Maciej Gladiš become rookie and overall across race 1 and race 2. Excellent performance from the contenders. Before they get busy with the fizzy, of course, the drivers are going to celebrate with the photograph. And now they can celebrate in style. We get ready for Portimao 2 weeks from now, as the drivers will celebrate in fantastic fashion. But now, after two great races, Jules Caranta, Matti Kolnagi and Maciej Gladiš can finally, at the Red Bull Ring, get busy with the fizzy. Magnificent stuff in EuroCup-3. We hope you've enjoyed both of our races covered this weekend. Matti Kolnagi, the championship leader. Maciej Gladiš puts Poland on the top step in race 2. From Jake Sanson, Alex Garcia, and all of us here at the Red Bull Ring, thanks for watching. We'll be back with you, not just for EuroCup-3, but also for the F4 Spanish Championship 2 weeks from now at the Autodromo Algarve in Portugal. We can't wait to see you 2 weeks from now when the championship fight continues.